Nobody feels ready the first time. Not the first conversation, not the first attempt, not the first time they stepped into something that mattered and had no idea if they could pull it off. The feeling of readiness is something most people spend their whole life waiting for and never actually experience before they start. And they wait, and they wait. And life moves around them while they stand still, telling themselves they just need a little more time, a little more preparation, one more thing to fall into place before they finally move. But confidence does not arrive before the moment. It arrives because of it. You do not feel confident and then act. You act, and through that action, through the discomfort and the failure and the slow accumulation of proof that you can do hard things, something in you begins to shift. It is built the same way muscle is built. Not by thinking about it, by showing up and doing the work before you feel like it. That is the whole secret. There is no other version of this story. And yet, you're still waiting. You read things like this. You feel something inside your chest move for a second. You tell yourself, yeah, this is it. I need to change. And then what? You go back to the same routine, the same delays, the same excuses, the same version of yourself that keeps saying soon but never means it. That's the real problem. It's not that you don't understand. You do. It's not that you don't want it. You do. It's that you've trained yourself to wait. Waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence, waiting for the perfect moment. But let me tell you something brutal. That moment doesn't exist. It never has. You think the people who built something great woke up one day feeling ready? No. They felt fear, doubt, pressure. They had no idea what they were doing. The difference is, they moved anyway. They didn't wait for clarity. They created it through action. And that's the part that breaks most people. Because action is uncomfortable. Action exposes you. Action forces you to face the truth about where you really are. And most people would rather stay comfortable in illusion than uncomfortable in reality. Think about your life right now. All the things you said you were gonna start, all the goals you said mattered, all the promises you made to yourself. Where are they? Still waiting. Not because you can't do them, but because you don't feel ready. That one lie has stolen more potential than failure ever will. Because failure at least means you tried. Waiting means you never even gave yourself a chance. And here's where it gets darker. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Because every day you delay, you're reinforcing a pattern of hesitation, a pattern of avoidance, a pattern of weakness. And over time, that pattern becomes your identity. You become the person who almost starts. The person who thinks about it. The person who will do it someday. Someday is a dangerous word, because someday feels real, but it never comes. It just keeps moving further away while your life stays exactly the same. And deep down, you know it. That's why it bothers you. That's why you feel that pressure in your chest when you see someone else doing what you said you would do. That's not jealousy. That's your potential screaming at you. Because you were never meant to sit still. You were never meant to wait your entire life for a feeling that doesn't exist. You were meant to move, even when you're unsure, even when you're scared, even when you feel completely unprepared. That's how it works. You don't become ready and then act. You act and become ready. But action requires something most people don't have. Courage. Not the loud kind. Not the confident kind. The quiet kind. The kind where you move forward even when your mind is telling you to stop. The kind where you take the step even when you don't believe in yourself yet. The kind where you do the work even when it feels pointless. That's real courage. And that's where your transformation begins. Because the moment you take that first step, something shifts. Not outside. Inside, you prove something to yourself. Something small, but powerful. You prove that you're not completely controlled by your fear. And that proof? That's where confidence is born. Not in thinking, not in planning, in doing. But understand this. The first step will feel terrible. You'll doubt yourself. You'll overthink everything. You'll feel like you're not good enough. Good. That means you're doing it right. Because growth doesn't feel comfortable. It feels like pressure, like resistance, like you're stepping into something bigger than what you're used to. And that's exactly what you need. Because your current life is the result of staying inside what feels comfortable. And if you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll stay there forever. So here's the truth you've been avoiding. You don't need more time. You don't need more preparation. You don't need more motivation. You need to start. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when things feel right. Now. Because the longer you wait, the weaker that voice inside you becomes, and the stronger the habit of doing nothing gets. And one day, if you keep going like this, you won't even feel the urge to change anymore. That's the scariest part. Not failure, not struggle, but becoming comfortable with staying the same. That's how people lose their lives without ever realizing it. Not in one big moment, but in thousands of small delays. So ask yourself something honestly. How much longer are you going to wait? How many more days are you going to tell yourself soon? How many more times are you going to ignore that voice inside you? Because it won't stay forever. Eventually, it goes silent. And when that happens, you don't even try anymore. So this is your moment. Not because everything is perfect. Not because you feel ready. But because you finally understand the truth. You will never feel ready. And that's exactly why you have to move. So now you know the truth. You will never feel ready. But knowing it isn't enough. Because there's still something inside you that hesitates. Something that pulls you back the moment things get uncomfortable. That's the real enemy. Not fear itself, but your habit of obeying it. Think about it. Fear shows up, and what do? You pause. You think. You delay. You tell yourself, let me prepare a little more. But what you're really doing is escaping. You're stepping back into safety. And every time you do that, you teach your mind something dangerous. You teach it that fear controls you. That's how hesitation becomes your default. It's not something you're born with. It's something you practice. Every time you avoid discomfort, you strengthen it. Every time you delay action, you reinforce it. And over time, it becomes automatic. You don't even think about it anymore. You just stop. But here's the shift. The moment you stop obeying that hesitation, everything changes. Because hesitation is weak. It only survives when you listen to it. The moment you act despite it, it starts to lose its power. The moment you move forward while your mind is screaming, wait, you take control. That's the moment you begin building something dangerous. A mind that doesn't freeze. A mind that doesn't delay. A mind that moves, no matter what. But let's not lie to ourselves. That's not easy. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, because you're not just taking action. You're breaking a pattern you've built over years. A pattern of waiting, of overthinking, of choosing comfort. And breaking that pattern feels like going against yourself. You'll feel resistance, strong resistance. Your mind will try everything to pull you back. It'll give you logical reasons, smart excuses. It will tell you, now is not the right time. You're not ready yet, just wait a little longer. It sounds convincing. It always does, but that's the trap. Because hesitation doesn't sound like weakness. It sounds like reason, and that's why it's so dangerous. Most people don't even realize they're stuck. They think they're being smart, careful, strategic. But in reality, they're just avoiding action, avoiding growth, avoiding pressure, avoiding the truth. Because the truth is simple. You're not waiting to be ready. You're waiting to be comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of everything you want. Look at every goal you have, every dream, every version of yourself you want to become. None of it exists inside comfort. It all exists outside it, in uncertainty, in discomfort. So if you keep choosing comfort, you're choosing to stay the same. And that's the decision most people make every single day. Not consciously, but through their actions. They wake up and choose easy. They avoid the hard things. They delay what matters. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Nothing changes because you didn't. Change doesn't come from thinking differently. It comes from acting differently, from doing the things you've been avoiding, from stepping into the discomfort you've been running from. That's where growth lives. And that's where your new identity is built. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about taking action. This is about becoming a different person. The kind of person who doesn't hesitate. The kind of person who moves, even when it's hard. And that identity is built through repetition. Every time you act instead of delay, you reinforce it. Every time you push through discomfort, you strengthen it. Every time you ignore that voice telling you to stop, you become it. But here's where most people fail. They wait for big moments. They think change happens in one decision, one breakthrough, one perfect day where everything clicks. That's not how it works. Real change is built in small moments. In the decision to start when you don't feel like it. In the decision to continue when it gets hard. In the decision to show up again and again. Those moments don't feel powerful. They feel ordinary. But stacked together, they change everything. Because consistency beats intensity. You don't need to go all out once. You need to show up every day. Even when it's boring. Even when it's repetitive. Even when it feels like nothing is happening. That's where discipline is built. And discipline is what replaces hesitation. Because once discipline takes over, you stop asking if you feel ready. You stop asking if it's the right time. You stop negotiating with yourself. You just act, automatically. Without hesitation, without delay. That's power, real power. Not motivation, not hype. Control. Control over your actions. Control over your habits. Control over your life. And once you have that, everything changes. Because now, fear doesn't stop you. Doubt doesn't stop you. Uncertainty doesn't stop you. They're still there. But they don't control you anymore. And that's the difference. Weak people wait until they feel ready. Strong people move and become ready. That's the line. That's the separation. That's what decides everything. So from this moment forward, you have a choice. You can keep waiting, keep delaying, keep telling yourself soon. Or you can break the pattern right now, not later, not when it feels better. Now, because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes, and the easier it is to stay the same. But the moment you act, you shift everything. You break the cycle. You take control. You prove to yourself that you are not controlled by hesitation anymore. And once you feel that, once you experience that shift, there's no going back. Because now you know the truth. You were never stuck. You were just waiting. So now you know the truth. You will never feel ready. But knowing that, truth isn't what separates you from everyone else. Action does. And right now, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is hesitation. That split second where you pause. That moment where your mind says, wait. That delay where you choose comfort instead of movement. That's where your life is being decided. Because hesitation is not harmless. It looks small. It feels normal. But it's deadly. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce a pattern. A pattern of stopping, a pattern of doubting, a pattern of staying exactly where you are. And over time, that pattern becomes your identity. You become the person who thinks, but doesn't act. Who plans, but never executes. Who wants more, but never moves. And the worst part? You start believing that's just who you are. But it's not. It's just what you've practiced. And what you've practiced can be broken. But breaking it requires something most people avoid. Discomfort. Not the light kind. Not the easy kind. The kind that hits your chest and makes you want to step back. The kind that makes your mind loud. The kind that makes everything inside you say, don't do this. That's the moment. That exact moment. That's where your life changes. Because if you move forward in that moment, you take control. If you step back, you stay the same. It's that simple. But simple doesn't mean easy, because your mind will fight you. It will try to protect you. It will tell you stories. You're not ready. You need more time. You might fail, and those thoughts will feel real. They'll feel logical, but they're not truth. They're defense mechanisms. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, not to make you great. And safety lives in comfort. That's why every time you try to grow, your mind resists. It's not because you can't do it, it's because you're stepping outside what feels familiar. And unfamiliar feels dangerous, even when it's not. That's why most people stay stuck. They mistake discomfort for danger. They feel resistance, and they stop. They feel fear, and they retreat. They feel doubt, and they delay. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Nothing changes because you didn't. Because you chose safety over growth. Again, and again, and again. But the moment you flip that, everything changes. The moment you stop running from discomfort and start moving into it, you become someone different. Someone dangerous. Not to others, but to your old self. Because now, you don't hesitate. You act. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it's uncertain. Even when it feels like you're not ready. That's power. And that's what builds a strong mind. Not thinking. Not planning. Doing. Over and over again. This is the part most people never reach. Not because it's impossible, but because it requires something they refuse to give up. Comfort. You've heard the truth. You understand the pattern. You've seen how hesitation controls your life. But now comes the moment where everything is decided. Because at the end of the day, none of this matters if you don't act. Knowledge doesn't change you. Awareness doesn't change you. Even motivation doesn't change you. Only action does. And if you walk away from this and go back to the same habits, the same delays, the same excuses, then nothing changes. Not your life, not your future, not who you are. And that's the brutal reality most people avoid. They consume, they listen, they feel inspired for a moment, but they don't move. And because they don't move, they stay stuck in the same place, watching life pass them by while they convince themselves they're working on it. But you know the truth now. There is no working on it without action. There is no progress without discomfort. There is no new life without a new version of you. And that version of you, it doesn't wait. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't sit there asking, what if? It moves, even when it's unsure, even when it's afraid, even when everything inside it says stop. That's the difference between people who stay average and people who become something more. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not perfect timing. It's the ability to act when it's hard, the ability to move when it's uncomfortable, the ability to push forward when every excuse is telling you not to. Because let's be honest, your life right now is the result of everything you've been tolerating. Every delay, every excuse, every time you chose easy instead of necessary. That's what built your current reality. And if you don't change that, you already know where it leads. The same place, the same routine, the same frustration, the same feeling of knowing you could do more but not doing it. That feeling will follow you everywhere. It doesn't go away with time. It gets heavier, louder, more painful, until one day, it turns into regret. And regret is something you can't fix. You can't go back and redo the moments you wasted. You can't recover the time you lost. You can't rebuild the chances you ignored. That's why this matters. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. Because every second you hesitate, you're choosing a future you don't want. You're choosing to stay the same. You're choosing to let your potential rot. And deep down, you know that's not why you're here. You know you're capable of more. You know you're meant for more. But knowing isn't enough. It never has been. Action is what separates you from that version of yourself. So this is where you draw the line. No more waiting, no more excuses. No more I'll start later. Because later is what's been killing your progress this entire time. Later is the reason nothing has changed. Later is the lie you keep telling yourself to stay comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of everything you want. You don't need another plan. You don't need another video. You don't need another moment of motivation. You need to move, right now, in whatever way you can. Small or big, doesn't matter. What matters is that you break the pattern, that you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by hesitation anymore. Because once you do that, everything shifts. Your mindset changes. Your confidence builds. Your identity starts to evolve. And suddenly, the person who used to wait doesn't exist anymore. That's the transformation. Not instant success. Not perfection, but control. Control over your actions, control over your decisions, control over your life. And once you have that, there are no limits left. Because limits only exist for the person who hesitates, the person who waits, the person who doesn't act. But that's not you anymore, not after this. From this point forward, you move, you act, you do what needs to be done, whether you feel ready or not. Because now you understand something most people never will. Readiness is a myth. Confidence is built, and action is everything. So when your mind tries to stop you again, when that voice comes back telling you to wait, to delay, to stay comfortable, you already know what to do. You don't listen. You don't negotiate. You don't hesitate. You move. Because that's who you are now. Someone who acts. Someone who pushes forward. Someone who refuses to stay the same. And one day, sooner than you think, you'll look back at this version of yourself, the one who used to wait, who used to hesitate, who used to doubt, and you won't even recognize it. Because you became something stronger, something sharper, something unstoppable. And it all started with one decision. Not when you felt ready, but when you finally chose to move anyway.